Hello, friends, welcome. Friends, I hope that you might have seen this headline, which was published in the PIB's website, the Ministry of Communications official release, which said that BSNL achieves 262 crores of profit in Q3, first profit since 2007. This is a headline. This is such a significant headline that it was carried all over the press, and everybody was, in amplifying this point that it is the first profit, and ministry was so focused in BSNL, as so much money has been spent. So it is quite natural that BSNL has to perform. So this is the testimony of BSNL's performance. Now, friends, since BSNL was making losses after losses consistently, so I thought of investigating this issue where the profit has been made. Now, if you look at this PIB release, they have quoted certain key milestone and highlights of BSNL's performance. Now, I don't really refute any of these numbers. These are all correct, because if you go through their quarterly statement, you will find that these numbers which they have quoted, that mobility services grew by 15%, fiber to home by 18%, lease line, all these are correct. There is no problem with that. But is it though that significant that it is going to create a profit of 262 crores when BSL made a loss of 1.5 1.5k crores, means around 1500k crores in the last quarter? So let's look at the numbers, and you viewers tell me what is going on and what should be the right metric of measuring profit and losses. Now, friends, what I have done is I actually have aggregated the BSNL's numbers of both of the PLN statement, that is the profit of loss statement for since 30th June 2021. So these many quarters I have aggregated, so you can see clearly all the description items and all the numbers listed here. So in order to make this analysis more efficient and visually appealing, I have created a Tableau dashboard. Right, so I'm going to show you what the Tableau dashboard is all about, and we can look at these numbers individually as we move forward in time. That is from FY 2022 and the last quarter, which is December 2024. Now, friends, you can clearly see that BSNL's revenue actually is a cyclic affair. Means it kind of remains static and then suddenly shoots up in the in the last quarter, which is March 2020, in the fourth quarter, because currently the numbers are for the third quarter. This number is for the third quarter, but in the fourth quarter, the revenue certainly shoots up. So this trend we clearly see on an ongoing basis, right? So this is also a similar trend we probably will see in the next quarter, where maybe the profits are going to escalate to such a magnitude that it will be unimaginable, right? So that's all is happening. And there are two items of the total revenue, because the total revenue numbers are shown here. It is added up, and the breakup is revenue from operation and revenue from others, which is also showing a similar trend. Now, this is the category of expense item. Now we have got what is profit and loss. It is basically income minus expense. This is the line item here, right, which is profit. Because if you see here, since because whatever data that I have gathered, you'll see that BSNL has been making consistent losses, right, which is to the tune of 1.5k crores. Sometimes it is going up, sometimes it is going very, very significant, but it is making consistent losses. And there is one exception in March 2024, where the losses were to the tune of 849 crores, and then again it is to the tune of 1.5k crores, and this is for the first time it is 262k crores of profit. Now let's look at the individual expense item in detail, because we have understood the income item. Let's look at the individual expense item. Now the expense item, you'll see that we'll just talk about the depreciation and amortization, which is the first item I have listed here. But let's look at the other item. Employees, there was increase, and then suddenly they have started reducing, which means that BSNL is doing great as far as conserving and optimizing employee cost. And then just forget about the exceptional item. Then the finance cost is decreasing. So BSNL is doing very great as far as finance cost is concerned. License fee and spectrum fee, it's roundabout static, right? Nothing has changed. And then there is another item which is called, there could be various other, maybe some advertising cost, customer acquisition cost. These are also kind of going down, right? Which is fantastic. So the total expense numbers, if you see that it kind of shot up in March 2022, FY22, and then again it went down, again it shot up, then it follows a cyclic affair. And then in this quarter, instead of going up, right, it has gone down. And that is why the profits that you see, which I told you, which was kind of to a level of between 2k crores to 1.5k crores, they suddenly shot up. Now let's talk about the key item, the expense item which has led to this increase in profit. This is called depreciation and amortization. Friends, what is depreciation and amortization? Depreciation and amortization is a notional cost item which takes into account the loss of value of assets in your books. So let's understand what does it mean. Let's say on a book value, you have got 100 crores of rupees asset. Now that asset is going to either depreciate or get amortized. Depreciation means that the assets going to lose value over time. So there is an accounting metric to take into consideration depreciation. Amortization means that suppose, let's say if you have spectrum over a license period of 20 years, then your value of that spectrum will keep on decreasing as you move forward in time. So you have to decrease the value of spectrum because your right to use the spectrum will continuously get depleted as you move forward in time. So this item is kind of pointing towards the loss of value of assets. Whatever assets that you are holding in your books, so this is the loss of value of asset. And why it is included in the profit and loss statement? Because if you look at it conceptually, what does profit and loss statement tell us? It is not a cash flow statement. It is basically an indicative of how much value, incremental accounting value, that company has been able to accumulate, right, over a period of time, quarter by quarter. And why it is important? Because from an accounting point of view, if you are able to ascertain that what is the value, which is called profit and loss, which can be added to the asset section. So if you don't do any kind of valuation on a cash flow basis, you can basically tell that, look, if the book value of asset is so much, then I have made so much amount of profit. So my company has now become more valuable by that amount. That's all. It is profit and loss statement is not a cash flow statement. It is an indication of increase or decrease of value of the company by an amount which is reported on a quarter by quarter basis. So that's all from a principal point of view it basically means. So which means that for this quarter, the BSNL's overall value has increased by 262 crores. That's all it means. Now, in order for the value to increase, you have to take into consideration each and every item of the asset. Now, one of the main important item in the asset is depreciation and amortization. Now, depreciation and amortization is a continuous process because as you accumulate assets, those assets have to be depreciated because it can be plant and equipment or it can be license or spectrum. Everything will depreciate. It can't really suddenly happen that the asset will automatically start appreciating because asset one you acquire will have to depreciate. Now, the funny thing here is very strange is that this time the depreciation amortization cost has been reduced significantly. It has become half than what normally you can see here. Like if you look at this, normally the depreciation amortization cost is roughly between 1.5k crores, right? On an average. Now it has become 800 crores. So now why the depreciation and amortization has suddenly decreased? That is the point of investigation, and therefore I am going to point to the breakup of depreciation and amortization, which I have captured below, right, in my dashboard. Now here you will find, interestingly, that depreciation and amortization consists of amortization of intangible asset, depreciation on plant and property and plant and equipment, and depreciation on right to use asset. Now, these two items which are below, depreciation of plant and equipment, these are basically physical assets, right? Like base station, etc. And these two together, if you see here, there is not much has happened. There may be slight, variation here and there, but there is little bit of decrease. So if you look at this quarter, it has been a little decrease. They have decreased the depreciation to some level, but it is understandable. I can take that into account because earlier depreciations were pretty high. Now this time the depreciation, if you add this together, this comes out to be, this is 760 and this is around 150. So if you add that, it will come out to be around 900, right? So 900 crores are depreciated. But what is strange is that amortization of intangible asset, which is spectrum, which was always positive, right? Because you are depreciating, because you are accumulating spectrum on an ongoing basis, and you have to keep depreciating spectrum. For the first time, the amortization cost of spectrum is negative. Means you have accumulated a profit in your statement on spectrum. This is being shown here. Now, this has got nothing to do with your operational, efficiency or your improvement in your operational performance. It has got nothing to do with that, because this is government giving BSNL spectrum, and they basically report a profit. Instead of having a loss of around 700 crores, they report a profit of 102 crores. So there is a difference of 800 crores of loss which they are reporting on an ongoing basis in this particular quarter. So there is a gain of 800 crores. Now this 800 crores, if you add this to 814 crores, you end up in the same level of 1.5k crores. So therefore, suddenly, because of this magic that they have done in the account books of minus 102 crores, of increase, basically there is a negative amortization, and that negative amortization has led to this decrease in depreciation amortization. That has in turn helped them to get to a profit of 262 crores. Now friends, you tell me what is that you make out of this? Because see, look, BSNL performance is increasing. There is no doubt about it. Because look, these revenue numbers are increasing. The revenue from operations are increasing, revenue from others are increasing, but the BSNL has been making losses to the tune of 1.5k crore, and suddenly there is a jump of profit of 262 crores, and there is a dip in depreciation amortization cost to the tune of by 50% on account of intangible asset appreciating in the profit and loss statement. I can understand. See, what happens typically is that when you take assets into books, what you do is you put the asset here. This is basically the asset and liability statement. So what you are going to do, you are going to put the asset in your books. So if you look at this, the latest quarter, they have a non-current asset of 1.45 lakh crores, current asset of 30,000 k crores, and the total asset of 1.76 lakh crores, right? So there is an equity of 1.08 lakh crores and there is a liability of 67 lakh crores. So normally when you accumulate asset, it has to come here, not in the P&L statement. You can't really start, making profit in P&L statement as regards your asset. I think otherwise, what is the point, right? See, you have to capture all your assets here, and you have to ensure that your assets are depreciated, because whenever the asset is accumulated in asset, either the depreciation cost will be zero if the asset is virtually new, but it can't be negative. How can it be negative? I do not understand. You have to tell me, I am not an accountant. I need to understand this a little bit better, and that is the reason I am making this video. Because you need to, because what is the point in having a depreciation amortization cost on intangible asset, which is instead of decreasing, instead of showing a loss, they are showing a profit in the P&L statement, and that's why they'll end up making a profit of 262 crores. Look at this. There is a profit here, because minus 102 crores of amortization loss is a profit. Amazing, right? So that's how you can basically fix. So when you do a valuation in real terms on a cash flow basis, you will never get these numbers, right? These numbers are going to be way off, because whatever asset that BSNL has accumulated in their books, which I was showing you right here, these may be largely spectrum, which are notional cost. So if you try to sell BSNL, do you think that you're going to sell BSNL at 1.5 lakh crores of total asset value? Who is going to buy BSNL when it has a revenue of only roughly, what is the revenue? Let's go to my sheet. Revenue of around 575 crores, right? These numbers are what? These numbers are basically in crores. Yeah, absolutely. So there is a revenue of, if you look at this number, total revenue is 5,675 crores. This is the revenue. So if you have a revenue, a quarter by quarter revenue, means the BSNL will be making a total revenue, if you multiply this by 4, around 22,000 crores. That's the revenue BSNL will be making. So if a company has a revenue of this and there is a huge amount of OPEX cost and everything, and if you do a discounting cash flow, I am really surprised. So anyway, friends, I'm going to close this video here. I've thrown all the numbers before you, and you make a judgment. What do you make out of this profit, which the government of India has put out in their website, saying that first profit is in 2007. So I was motivated to do this video to understand this. First profits in 2007 is a big thing. Why? So anyway, we will have to keep on watching this in future as to what their results would be going forward. Well, whether they will continue to have these kind of headlines going forward or not, right? So thank you, friends, for your time. I'll come back with a new video next time on a new topic.